But Cole, LSU's offense, 1 to 10, 10 being the most, 1 being not at all. So somewhere in the middle, I would assume. Concern with LSU's offense, I do think Brian Kelly went a little conservative once you knew DJ Lagway was just going to put the game on a silver platter for you. And so maybe you can give a little bit of grace there. But, man, they just don't look good through 3 games. The Clemson win, not as impressive as maybe we thought it was in week 1. Their offense continues to struggle, and they got some big games coming up. What are they on they've got kind of a nobody this week, but then they got to go to the Grove. And, Ole Miss will try and score as many points as they can. What are your thoughts on LSU's offense? Can that be fixed?
It's a 7 right now, and I think it can be fixed. And don't get me wrong, I think that there's definitely some things that are very correctable, but still, I mean, you can't be sitting here and talking about the last run of the game. The last run of the game is the reason why you had over 100 rushing yards. Yes. That's the reason. It's the reason why you averaged more than a 2.1 yards a play. It's a reason why Caden Durham's stat line actually looks somewhat decent compared to an overall day of a defense that was delivering for Florida that got screwed over by its offense, giving the ball literally right back on almost every single drive to Florida. That's where it is. I think the passing game is a little bit worrisome as well. I don't know if it's just the stubbornness of Nussmeier. I don't know if it's because of he doesn't feel like he has enough time to get plays downfield. He's rushing his throws. It just feels a little bit off, like stagnant. And he's not able to build that repertoire. And, the funny thing is that we talk so much about how in the last few years, we've asked ourselves the question of how many points does LSU have to score for its defense not to blow the game? Now the question is, how many drives do we have to stop offensively to give LSU's offense enough of a spot to be able to put this game away? Because that's really where we are at this point. Like, credit for credits too. Blake Baker lost his star linebacker, Whit Weeks, in the opening drive. He loses West Weeks a couple of drives later. And they still force 5 turnovers. They do give up 23 first downs. They still cannot be able to fully stop the passing attack, but they create opportunities to give the ball back to its offense, and it just constantly shoots itself in the foot.
Play the sleeper more or less game every single Wednesday. We'll do it again this week when the stats are out, when the picks are available. You can pair more or less of 2 or more players and win literally up to 1,000 times your money. Go to the Sleeper app, use our code CFA for 100% match up to $100. I was in there yesterday in an eliminator league. I've made it through 2 weeks of the NFL season. Not that impressive, but there have been weeks that I've lost week 1. So go check out the eliminator leagues. Go check out the pick'ems. Obviously, a lot of people have their fantasy football through the Sleeper app. Their score bug is great. They do a great job with just updating the scores of everything. I was watching Barcelona's score bug while I was watching Red Zone yesterday on the TV. So go check them out. Terms and conditions apply. Make sure you see their terms of use for details.
I don't know if it's the offensive line. I don't know if it's the play design. I don't know if it's just the overall negativity surrounding Nussmeier. I don't know if it's the lack of a solid run game. But there are things right now that just are so underwhelming that makes it feel like you constantly put yourself and shooting yourself in the foot. If you can't push the big dudes up front, trust the passing attack. If you can't move the ball on the ground, go back to the air game. But you have to realize that this game against Florida was given to you because of the insufficient ability of what DJ Lagway did.
Yeah.
Ole Miss is not going to do that. Ole Miss is going to be able to throw the football down the field with ease. Alabama is going to be able to throw the football down the field with ease. Oklahoma is going to be able to win with a ground game and a passing attack.
A&M.
Arkansas is going to be able to do this. A&M is going to be able to do this. So it's a 7 because of this is your last game to work out the kinks, to figure out the little details. And if you can't do that, I just don't think it's possible. I don't believe this team is going to be able to be that threat that we saw against Clemson. Because the Clemson game at this point is looking a little bit fluky. And the offense against Louisiana Tech may just be the offense that you have this year. And it may be low-scoring affairs. You can still get to 10-2 and make the playoff. But it doesn't feel like you can have that national championship pedigree offensively.
Tom, any LSU thoughts before we move on to the last one?
Brian Kelly's an asshole, but
he's such a jerk after the game.
Which, we already knew that for many, many years at this point. I thought the reporter's question was pretty benign when you look at the transcript. He asked him, "Hey, what did you think of the offense?" maybe Brian Kelly thought he was walking into a different room and that he thought he was walking into the locker room or the coach's room, but instead he walked into the media room and was immediately asked questions about his uninspiring victory against a team that surrendered 5 interceptions in Florida. Credit to Florida's defense, to the points you guys were just making. That unit did not quit that entire game. I was so impressed by those kids at the end of the day who really did fight for Billy Napier. But man, I don't know what's up with LSU. The running game is not there. Garrett Nussmeier, I'm seeing in the comments section, has a little bit of Brett Favre in him. I kind of agree with that. And it's funny because last year everybody was saying, oh, you went from Jaden Daniels to Garrett Nussmeier, and it was just the continuity of that. Different athlete, of course, but his Heisman hopes, I'm not feeling that necessarily the way he's playing right now. LSU's just got to get right, because this is much closer to the LSU offense of like the early 2000s, when everybody was like, it's the game of the century, LSU versus Alabama, and the final score would be like 10-6, and I'd take a nap in the third quarter and wake up and be like, oh, this is boring, and there's a last second field goal. That's kind of what this feels like with LSU right now. And to the point Cole said, that might just be their lot in life. They're still going to have success this year, but man, they got to figure out some stuff and quick.